Karl Anthony Towns is officially a New York Knick. The news broke yesterday. The Minnesota Timberwolves have traded Karl Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks for Julius Randle, Donte DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick. This is probably going to be the biggest trade that we see all offseason. It's a trade amongst two of the best teams in the league and undoubtedly a trade amongst two of the league's finals contenders. Subscribe if you guys are new around here and let's get into it. Man, this trade is crazy because like I just said, these are two teams that are going for the NBA finals in this upcoming season. They're trying to win it all, and it feels like they kind of just betrayed their franchise players. Well, obviously the Timberwolves have Anthony Edwards and the Knicks have Jalen Brunson, but what I'm trying to say is like Cat's been with the Timberwolves for basically the last decade. He's been with them for 9 years. He's a 4-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA. He was an All-Rookie player and the 2015-2016 Rookie of the Year. He was a Timberwolf when basically nobody in the NBA wanted to be a Timberwolf. And same with Julius Randle. He was a New York Knick when basically nobody wanted to be a New York Knick. He was a 3-time All-Star with them. He was 2-time All-NBA. And it just feels like these teams kind of just betrayed their somewhat franchise players. Again, I know they're not the best player in the team, but the guys that have been there for a minute just got basically swapped right when these two teams are right on the brink of getting to that NBA finals and trying to win it all. Now again, lucky for these two players, they are going to finals contenders because, you know, the Timberwolves and the Knicks are both still finals contenders after this trade. One thing that I was thinking like pretty much right when the trade broke was, did the Timberwolves ask Anthony Edwards, like, how did this go down? Because I feel like Anthony Edwards would probably say no to this trade. I mean, him and Cat at this point in time are like a duo. We saw their connection last year in the playoffs. We saw their chemistry in just like the post-game interviews and just all the stuff off court. I really wonder how that all went down with Anthony Edwards and the management when, you know, they were thinking about trading him. And then we also saw Karl Anthony Towns right before the trade news broke tweeted out 3 dots, like as if, I mean, we don't really know what that means. Is he just surprised? Is he shocked? Is he upset? We'll have to see, you know, when he comes out and speaks about it. I'd assume for Karl Anthony Towns and, you know, Julius Randle and DiVincenzo, which we'll talk about in a second, I assume all of them low-key didn't really want to be traded. That's just how the business of the NBA really works. Another thing that is just brutal about this trade is we never got to see the Nova guys together. They had all 4 of them: Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Donte DiVincenzo. They obviously had, you know, Brunson, Hart, and DiVincenzo. They go out and bring in Mikal Bridges, but before they can even play a game, DiVincenzo is shipped off. And like one thing that I really liked about the Knicks was just that chemistry. Like they all kind of are just friends. They got some of the best vibes, if not the best vibes in the league, probably the best locker room. Literally half the team went to college together. Like they were roommates. They saw, you know what I'm saying? Like the chemistry was there, and I just feel like this kind of hurts it. Obviously the Knicks are still a really good team. They're a contender. Getting rid of DiVincenzo, just, it hurts. And I'm not even a Knicks fan. It hurts me to even see that happen. And I feel like everyone, when they saw this trade, you know, we saw Cat is going to the Knicks. That was the first news that broke. And then they said Randle and Donte DiVincenzo are going to the Timberwolves. And my first thought wasn't even like, oh, Randle's gone. It was like, DiVincenzo's gone. And I'm thinking like, could they have not done like Miles McBride or someone else? I assume, you know, they probably couldn't. The Timberwolves are probably saying, no, we need Donte DiVincenzo or we're not going to do the trade. And that probably put the Knicks in a weird spot where they had to make a very tough decision. And obviously they made that decision. Now let's start off by talking about Karl Anthony Towns on the Knicks. How is this fit going to be? Is it better? Is it an upgrade from Julius Randle or is it a downgrade? Me personally, I love this fit for the Knicks. I think Cat is overall a complete upgrade over Julius Randle. I honestly think he's like better at everything. He's way more efficient, especially if we're talking about 3-point shooting, which Randle really just kind of annoyed me. If you ever watched the Knicks, obviously when he was healthy at the end of the year, he wasn't healthy, but Randle was just chilling at the 3-point line. He would just chuck a bunch of threes and he's not too efficient. Like he's an okay 3-point shooter, but for his size, like I just wish he'd get more in the paint. I just feel like he's a little bit lazy and just sometimes is just okay with just shooting up a 3 when that's not really completely his game. Whereas Karl Anthony Towns is one of the best big man shooters of all time. So he's going to be a better shooter, a better offensive player, probably a better rebounder, better on defense. Cat's pretty much better at everything. And as far as the Knicks go, like on offense with Brunson's offense, he loves to drive. He loves to get into that mid-range, and Cat is just going to help this team spacing even more. Now, one of my big questions is what lineup are we going to be seeing out of them? Now, Mitchell Robinson is going to be injured. He's going to be missing, 2 months, but let's say when he gets back, are the Knicks going to go with that small lineup and run Brunson, Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Cat at the 5? Or do they put Josh Hart off the bench and put Mitchell Robinson at the 5 and then Cat at the 4? Personally, I think both lineups could work, but I feel like Cat wants to be a 4. He doesn't really want to be the 5. So I think the lineup that we do see once Robinson is back healthy would be Cat at the 4, Robinson at the 5. But I mean, this team is going to be crazy. Like defensively, I mean, offensively too, like both sides of the ball. Think about this team on defense. Brunson, of course, nothing special on defense, but Mikal Bridges with OG Anunoby, 2 of the best wing defenders in the entire league. Josh Hart, which we don't know if he's going to start or come off the bench, but he's, you know, a solid, gritty guy. Karl Towns, solid defender. Mitchell Robinson, great rim protector. I honestly love the fit. I love the fit. The only thing is they lost Donte DiVincenzo, which does hurt their depth because now they have Miles McBride, probably Josh Hart off the bench, Precious Achiuwa. They also did go out and get Cam Payne and Marcus Morris Sr. Now, if it wasn't clear already, I think that the Knicks won the trade. Let's talk about the Timberwolves. Let's talk about Julius Randle's fit with this new Timberwolves team. Now, the thing about the Timberwolves is I don't absolutely hate trading Karl Towns. We saw at the end of the postseason, they had a bunch of lineup problems. You know, Naz Reid was outplaying a lot of their bigs, Cat and Rudy Gobert at times, and they were like in a weird spot where it's like, we got to give Naz Reid minutes. Cat was slumping at different points in the playoffs. Rudy Gobert was basically almost unplayable at points. So my thing is, if you are going to trade Cat, why really bring in a power forward? Maybe I'm tripping for thinking this, but why not start Naz Reid? Naz Reid should be like, he deserves those minutes. And I know he's like a 6-man of the year caliber player off the bench, but I just think that this would have been way better if instead of getting a Julius Randle type value player, they went out and got, you know, maybe an upgrade at point guard or maybe, you know, a small forward, something like that. To me, I just think Julius Randle's not really a winner. And I know, like, I don't want to sound like a hater by saying that, but we've just seen he's one of the worst NBA playoff performers of all time. I just kind of get some weird vibes with this. And the fit, I don't know, man. I think they downgraded from Cat. You know, they have Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and then Rudy Gobert. Now, their bench is going to be good because you got Donte DiVincenzo, you got Naz Reid, of course, Joe Ingles, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Rob Dillingham, the rookie. But I like the Timberwolves team with Cat instead. I just don't, you know, love the downgrade. And yeah, you're getting Donte DiVincenzo off the bench, but does that make me accept the trade? Personally, I wouldn't. So we got to talk about, where do the Knicks now rank out east and where do the Wolves rank out west? I think that the East is actually getting more loaded and loaded every single year. Like the East is actually looking pretty good. There's a lot of teams out there. You know, you got the Celtics, the Knicks, the Sixers, the Bucks, the Pacers, the Heat. There's a lot of teams, right? The Cavs, I'm missing a few, right? That's like 7 teams. I think that the Knicks are like the second best team, maybe third. Like, I don't see why the Knicks can't beat the Celtics in a 7-game series now if everyone's healthy. That is the one thing, because we know Thibodeau loves to just pump minutes into his starters. And now the Knicks have some injury-prone players. OG Anunoby, Karl Towns. These are some injury-prone players. Mitchell Robinson, he's already injured. Lucky for the Knicks, they do have Mikal Bridges, who literally hasn't like missed a game since I think high school, maybe it was middle school. I think before this trade, I'd probably have the Knicks as like the third, or maybe I'd probably say the third best team in the East. But after this trade, honestly, if healthy, I think I have the Knicks as the second best team in the East after acquiring Karl Towns. Now, the Wolves in the West, I'm going to have to drop them down. The Wolves, I feel like, are going to be a really good regular season team. I'm not saying they're not going to go out and, you know, maybe even be the 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, something like that. I can see very likely. But as far as the playoffs go, once we get into those 7-game series, I don't know. We'll have to see how this lineup really does work out. I feel like they're still going to be a solid team, but in my head, with Cat, I probably had them as like the, you know, third best team out west, maybe fourth, something like that. But now I think I've probably got to drop them down to like the 5th or the 6th best team. I mean, there's a lot of teams. Like we have the Thunder, of course. I think the Grizzlies are going to be pretty good. I'm not sure if the Grizzlies will be better than the Wolves. That's kind of a close one, but you still got the Nuggets, of course, with Jokic. You got the Pelicans are looking pretty loaded. We still have to see what they're going to do with Brandon Ingram. The Mavs are looking insane. They just went to the NBA Finals. There's a lot of teams out west, and personally, y'all can let me know what you think in the comments. I just don't love this trade for the Wolves. It's not like terrible, like, oh my God, what are they doing? They were right there, and now they're going to miss the play-in. Like, it's not that bad, but I'm just not a huge Julius Randle guy. And wow, that is a crazy trade. That is insane that the Knicks were able to get rid of him before the season even started. I know there's a lot of rumors circulating at the end of last season. The Knicks are going to trade Randle. When are they going to do it? Who's going to get him? they did it finally before the season even started. As far as the contracts go, they are kind of very different. Cat has 3 years, 160 mil with a 1 year, 61 mil player option. So the Knicks are going to be paying Cat a bag. This was another thing about the trade that I probably should have mentioned earlier, is people think the Timberwolves ownership is trying to be a little frugal here. They're trying to save money. That might be another reason why they did this trade. And it hurts, man, because they were really right there, and maybe they still are. But Randle, his contract is basically in half of that. They're both getting 3 years, but Randle's getting 81 mil, whereas Cat was getting 160. And then Randle also has the 1 year, 30 mil player option. So yeah, when you're looking at the contracts, it's like, okay, why not take the guy that's slightly worse and you're paying him like half? Oh man, in the NBA, it's all about winning. It doesn't really matter how much you're paying someone as long as, you know, they're producing. And the Knicks are bringing in a guy that I just think is really going to fit well, whereas the Timberwolves are bringing in Julius Randle, and I don't love the fit. I think it's a slight downgrade, and I honestly think that they are going to regret this.